What's going on, my freaks and geeks? This is the Square Roundtable podcast. I want to thank all of our viewers and listeners for joining us again tonight for a wonderful episode about everything in nerd culture, guys. And this is actually a really great occasion today because I want to give it up to my man, Christopher Ward Jr. He is literally the first Square Roundtable guest to be on here twice.
Hey.
What?
Oh shit!
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's
man.
great.
The first to make a comeback.
Yes, the first to make
They
a
call it a
comeback.
comeback.
Exactly, bro. So yeah, this is awesome, man. So we're so glad to have you back on here, and definitely the first of many, man. Oh man, definitely. It's been too long, man. We definitely, but we're glad to have you back now. We just need to jump into some stuff, man. We've been talking a lot before we started recording, so. What you got on your mind, Chris? What you want to talk about, man?
I mean, everything. A lot I can't disclose right now, obviously, due to just agreements and just professional courtesy. But I'm working on the side on a couple of productions just to help fund the main stuff that I want to end up doing. But really, I'm excited for what the future holds. Because the more I read, the more I build my portfolio, so to speak. The more I'm able to, God, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to think of the best way to say it.
Are you good?
You know what? Yeah, I think the best way to say it is that I'm looking at my career a lot like I look at film. And in my opinion, film is very much like agriculture.
Okay.
And the caveat for that is we as creators, we work slowly so that our efforts may one day bear fruit. And I know that may sound like it comes from a fortune cookie, but I'm doing a lot of this. I'm doing a lot of this work on my own because I'm of the opinion that it would be bad form to ask someone else to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And especially with the work I've been doing with my group, and big shout out to them. They've just been a godsend with all the work that they've helped me accomplish. It's a thrill of being a part of the process, and that's what makes the job so satisfying.
That's awesome. I like that, man.
I know it's probably 8 different answers, but
no, because I've been a fly on the wall in the journey, man. Just listening to a lot of the good stuff you got going on, a lot of your ideas about certain concepts and projects, and just passion projects. Really, I think it's great, man. I know all the guys agree. We are certainly proud of you, man. And oh yeah, you're welcome. We can't wait to see the fire that you're literally about to put out.
It's weird, not even weird. It's exciting to be making it, but it's also one of those. I had an aha moment the other day, and I sat there and I looked at everything that I had done, and I said to myself, "Hey, why hasn't anyone done this yet? Or why hasn't anyone taken the opportunity to do this yet?" And I'm not going to talk about the projects because I want to keep those close to the chest, but.
For sure.
These are projects and stories that are not saturated in the market already. And look, and obviously my opinion of reboots and is just as varied as everyone else's, but I especially with working on I work on a Marvel show right now. And to be in that atmosphere of where people are so comfortable with the atmosphere of certainty, I've started to understand the other side of that argument of reboots, revamps, just revivals. It's security. People love certainty. People love security. They love knowing what they're going to get at the end of this. And that's not a fault of theirs. They're businessmen. A lot of them are businessmen. They're having to make these decisions, and we probably make the same decisions if we were in their position. Because they don't have the time to sit there and say, "Oh, we don't need another Gossip Girl, guys. Come on." We make another Gossip Girl. We make some money off of it, and then we move on because we know it's going to work.
It's going to sell. Yeah.
The first one worked. So why shouldn't this one? There's the fidelity that those fans still have, and they'll just watch it just because they're like, "Oh, I want to see what they do this time." They're not going to watch it because they think it's going to be good. They're going to watch it to either clown it and no one for their first time is going to go, it's like, "Oh, this is great." No. You're going to go, "What the fuck is this?" And I don't want to knock anybody because I feel like I did that a lot on the last podcast, but I don't feel shame for that at all. My opinions are my opinions, and again, I will say it as I said it before: they're there, I'm not. But if I'm going to end up being there, I want to make the right decision.
For sure.
Yeah.
Creatively. And I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want to do passion projects that go nowhere. I don't want to, overcompensate for what I may feel is a pitfall in my story. If I have to overcompensate, and that's what I see a lot today. And we can further elaborate on that if you want to, but I see a lot of people relying on modern day problems, modern day issues, modern day politics, modern day morals to supplement the lack of writing that they have.
I love that.
And again, I'm not an expert. I'm not. But when I write my characters, I don't go down a list and check a box and make sure that I have them all neatly arranged like a closet filled with Middleton sweaters.
Yes.
I don't make sure that I have one of every color.
Right.
And that's and it's because I don't make that my mission, because I'm just someone that just lets it. I write the character down, I slap them in the oven, I let them bake, I bring them out, and I accept them as they are. If I want to change something, I put some icing on it, or I put some chocolate chips on it. I swear to God, years later, like some talk show host is going to pull this up and be like, "You made these weird cooking analogies when you were talking about your writing process," and I'm just going to look at him and be like, "Fuck you! You didn't bring me. You ambushed me with this."
No,
but like and I hate I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but it's
no.
It's one of those things that I look at as just a creative, where I'm just like, am I the only one that sees the loss of potential here?
And that's a good question, because I think, and I'm not, what you do is not necessarily a part of my bag of tricks, which I think is great, because I like to be in like awe of how the end product is and things like that, like making movies and directing. It's magic tricks. I feel like I wouldn't be mad if I learned how it was done, but I just think the end product is just wonderful, and I like for it to stay that way for me. But with a lot of projects out there are people, like you said, that they like that security blanket, they like to feel safe with certain things, and then there are people that do something crazy and different, and something that's a passion project. Like, I was actually watching an interview yesterday. It was about these guys. I can't remember who directed it, and not even saying it was a great movie, but it was a passion project. And this dude wanted to make the newer version of, basically, if nobody's seen it, it's like the Three Stooges, and they're basically in our time period instead of being from where they were in their heyday. And not saying that the movie worked, really. It was a passion project, and I think they did what they wanted to do with it. We've even had a guy on our show, the guy that directed, like, me and your one of our favorite movies, Dmitri's Mystery Team. And same thing, he made a passion project. Did the movie do great? Was it critically acclaimed? No, but did it feed the audience?
Awesome movie.
It was awesome, and it fed the audience it was supposed to feed. And I've seen plenty of other movies, like Chris, there's another movie I really, it's actually a horror film. It's called The Evil Within, and it's by no means a masterpiece of a movie, but the soul of that horror movie is so good. Now, the backstory behind it is really tragic, because the guy that made it, he passed away before he got a chance to finish the movie. And it was a long process, and the end product wasn't necessarily his vision. But once again, it was a passion project. Is it critically acclaimed? No, but does it have its own following? Yes. So my question to you is, it's like, what, at the end of the day, I understand the security blanket and all that kind of stuff, but it's more so, would you be satisfied with a film that you're making not necessarily being critically acclaimed or getting the highest praise, but still in some way, shape, or form being able to fulfill the audience that is meant for, no matter how little that audience may be?
I feel like with that, it walks a tightrope between recognition and cult status. I feel like if you have I feel like a lot of passion projects get thrown into cult status because people just don't take them seriously. And I feel like that's a shame because there are a lot of cult films that do deserve to be further recognized. But I feel like people put the whole terminology cult status on something that is either really bad, tries to be good,
Yeah.
or is just bizarre in every sense of the word. Look at Rocky Horror Picture Show. It has
Love
this
it.
massive cult following because you love it because it's outrageous because it doesn't make any fucking sense. But that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
no,
other
very much
films
so.
that try to be serious, like The Room, where he had more like his mind. He
Perfect
literally,
example. And I love The
he
Room.
literally
Yeah.
thought he was making Citizen Kane.
He did.
Or like fucking Gone with the
Tommy was
Wind.
out of his
But
mind.
then when people applauded
Yeah.
it because it was so bad, he almost thought to himself, he must have thought to himself,
I did.
they think it's bad. I need to play along so
Lean
that
into
it doesn't look like I'm just utterly out of my depth here and I'm completely unaware, like my own situation here. And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he fucking did.
Yep.
And I guess for me, fuck it. For me, I like the recognition. I would rather have the recognition and the acclaim than a cult following.
Yeah.
And that may be
That's an honest answer.
and that may be like the tinge of elitism in me, or that may be the tinge of just wanting more, but you're remembered for the recognition. You're remembered for the acclaim that you get. You're not remembered for the cult status. Long term.
Long term.
They don't,
That's true. And even,
yeah, like many
no,
cult films, like in Marcus may be able to like touch on this because I had a teacher named Paul Gustad. Shout out to Paul Gustad, the greatest film teacher ever. He said that a lot of cult films are cautionary tales. And I remember when he told a lot of those tales, I'm just like, I don't want that for myself. And then even if I'm doing something fictional, fine, make it a fucking cult film. I don't give a shit. I'll go make something better. But if it's a historical film and I'm doing it off of this historical character that I care very deeply about, and this is the one time I have to put them out there, and it gets to a cult, I failed. I have failed them because I did not give them the proper recognition they deserve. And it's very important to me. I've told you, Chad, about just the characters that I've been working with.
Oh, yeah.
These are characters that you've never heard of.
Right.
That you have maybe even passively heard of here and there, but they have ties to famous books and novels. They were men in the military. They have ties to famous expeditions. And they're also, and I don't want to toot my own horn here, but they're also Black men in roles that you don't traditionally see them in. And this may go on into another question, and I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on, not allowed, but I don't know if I have the right authority to speak on this, but it is my opinion that, at least from growing up and from what I've seen recently, is that a lot of Black men are given roles that are either morally criminal or factually criminal. There's no in between in some areas. And the only time there's ever a positive impact is if it is some character, they're playing some character, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is always met with strife. And of course, these characters are met with strife themselves, but the story is just them surviving it. It's not them accomplishing anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's small victories. It's small victories.
It's that, and then they always have the aid of somebody else outside of the culture that aids them through their story,
Yeah, telling the story through somebody else, like what was it, Marcus? Was that The Help?
Yeah, it's told through another race, because I guess it's not okay for a Black person to tell.
And I think that was the message with The Help. I think that's what The Help was trying to push. It shouldn't, like, this random white girl shouldn't have to go out of her way to tell the story of these Black women, but she did. Props to her.
Yeah,
but
for
props
sure,
to them for living through this, for living through that treatment.
Yeah.
Like no one should have to go through that treatment.
That's why I tell people I had a big problem with like Black Panther because I feel like they dumbed him down a lot. Literally.
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick?
No. Get two cents in here real quick.
I just want to say something. So I had a legit like science orgasm when I saw like all the Peter Parkers in the laboratory together. I was just like, oh my God. I just saw that one part because I just like, I was on Instagram and I was on YouTube and I saw Andrew Garfield in a lab coat. I'm like, what's going on here? And I clicked on, I was like,
not a great moment, Chad?
That was a good moment, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah, like I almost passed out. I was like, "Oh my God!"
That was a great. That was a great.
Chad was over there. Oh,
that was a great Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I almost fainted. I almost fainted, bro.
See a big 6'3" dude over there about to faint because you see all the Spider-Man.
You see all the Spider-Man in the lab doing lab stuff like they're supposed to be doing.
But I was just like, finally, like, my gosh. But this is what we needed, to go back to your point, Marcus, for T'Challa and Killmonger. We needed a scene like that, and we didn't get it. Like Peter in the lab talking about, I'm about to make a serum, blah, 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 blah. Where's T'Challa's?
And that's the thing. I was like, bro, literally in the comic books, he's like one of the, 8th or 6th, whatever number it is, like smartest people. I think in his original run, I think he went like to Oxford or something like that.
Yeah,
and then like he's special in like physics and stuff, and he knows he actually knows how to do things, and he's smart. But in the movie, it's if I need a suit, let me go to my sister who's exceptionally smarter than me.
Who in the comics is not like that at all.
And I need her to do this and that for me. Now don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I still say Black Panther was a pretty good movie. I'm just saying they downplayed him a lot. Yeah. And then on top of that, just like what Chris was just talking about for the roles of Black men, they don't fully succeed and win in the end because who literally stopped the last ship from getting out of Wakanda?
Oh,
it was Ross. It wasn't it wasn't T'Challa, it wasn't Shuri, it wasn't anybody from Wakanda. It was a white man from outside that came in. And that's exactly what you're talking about, Chris. It's that formula. It's been going on for years, since the beginning of film. It's always been like it.
I've never been one to just, because I do think in the creative process choices are made and characters are and propositions of characters are put forth, but for me there's a way, like there is like with historical films, there's a way to portray the past and then there's a way to dramatize the past. Yes. No work of historical fiction will ever be 100%.
Agreed.
That is just it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
We as filmmakers, like I want my films to be as historically authentic as I can possibly make it. And the distinction there for me is, while the characters are dramatized, the world in which they are moving, the context in which they exist, is something we can flesh out in historical detail. We do not need to over dramatize the character. We need to ensure the world that they exist is authentic, because that we can replicate with technology, with costumes, with makeup, that we can replicate. There's so much information on that. There's so little information on who these people were, how they acted, what they did. So we are firing, unless they've lived in the past like 50 years, we're firing blind.
So like
we don't know. Go ahead.
So pretty much make the world that they live in as accurate as possible, because we know exactly how that world was. Let's say 1800s, we have an idea who and what was going on there. Yeah. But but the people themselves, we're like, okay, we know he lived here at this point in time. We have a little bit of information, and we're going to build a story around that and stuff like that. So is that what you're like, pretty much what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's important that because it's not meant to distract people or detract from what we're trying to do. Not at all. It's meant to almost encourage the research of that character, because then you get more interested in the world, you get more interested in where they exist, and then you become almost enthralled with the world that you're seeing. I feel like a film that did that very well was not even a film, a series, Rome on HBO. It had 2 seasons. It was the most expensive TV show ever made before Game of Thrones, and the lessons learned on Rome allowed for HBO to order Game of Thrones. But Rome, it was about like the fall of the Republic, Julius Caesar, Brutus, Cassius, Mark Antony, Octavian, all those motherfuckers we heard in high school. And it really, they're all dramatized. There is nothing about them that is very little, that is a lot of 20 years of the historical events condensed into 2 seasons. They left a lot out. And there's no battles.
Of course.
There's 2, like 2 battles.
And even in like, when you think about any Roman or Spartan movie, like the Spartan movie, what was it called? 300.
300?
Entirely dramatized.
Nothing about it that was real.
Nothing
Yeah. And what made me mad about, like, when I was younger, I always believed the thing based on a true story. I always believed that until I got older and I realized
it's half fiction in that.
I like to take the road of inspired by true events rather than based on a true story.
Yeah, that's what I always say.
Yeah.
If you say inspired by true events, you are also essentially saying that, because this is smart for anybody that wants to write, if you say inspired by true events, you essentially there's no fidelity to any work of fiction or biography or anything like that can be tied to that work. So let's say I want to go make a movie about Tchaikovsky, right? And there's 6 different books about Tchaikovsky. I'm not basing my story off of any of their stuff. I'm basing my story off of the events of his life. And that can be anything I want it to be.
That's true. And that covers your own ass. Yeah. So my question to you, Chris, and all of the guys here, what you were talking about really, how, I think, creatively do you go when you're trying to make a movie about events based in history, but you're also trying to make a film that has a cohesive story? And I'll explain what I mean by this. As I was watching The Harder They Fall, I was looking at these characters in the movie.
Get out my head, bro.
You already know.
I was literally finna talk about this movie, man.
Oh no, we gonna rehash it up again.
Well, my thing is, I just love how they stole the plot from Naruto and thought nobody was gonna notice it. And
damn.
Because the two titular characters of the story are real people, but in real life, they're not brothers. But they literally took the story of Sasuke and Itachi and put it on these 2 black guys that were real people.
Yes.
And literally created a whole fake background for shit that never happened, because they were in the same area. This is what they said, that all of these black people were in the same general area, but none of that shit actually happened. Yeah. So they just made up a plot. And don't get me wrong, it was interesting while I was watching it, sure. But like I said, they made up the whole thing. Like, the guy you've been pissed off at your whole life, you've been pissed off at the wrong person. Basically, if anybody out here watches Naruto, you know what happened with Sasuke and Itachi.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the same thing that happened with the 2 main characters of The Harder They Fall. Same exact story. They just copied it and pasted it, even to the point to where the younger brother kills the older brother, and then he realizes that his parents were pieces of crap the whole time, and the brother was actually a good guy.
And I'll give you one better. They even had the heart-filled, almost touching forehead thing. They almost had that. They were so
they did the forehead thing. Yeah, exactly. They even did the forehead thing. So my thing is, how do you feel about a situation like that, Chris?
Where they obviously are taking a story inspired by
real that story wasn't even inspired by real events. It was just, I think they said something like all the characters in this movie are based on real people, but
They
these
are
are
real
all
people.
fictional events. So
Yeah,
some they
something like
said,
that. Mhm.
and when I seen that, I was like, okay, I already know what route this movie's finna go, but I'll give it a chance anyway. But
'Cause even-
my big, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. And I was going to say, because even the part they could have did a lot with the one character that pissed me off the most, because they actually have information on him, is Bill Pickett.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about any of the shit he actually did in real life.
Bill Pickett. They made Bass Reeves join some outlaws. Some Bass Reeves would have never did because he was in burlesque in a brothel.
Acting like Rihanna. Acting like
Yeah,
Rihanna.
you know. I'm like, bro, these are people who live totally different lives. I ain't saying they gotta be exactly like the person,
lives.
but if you're gonna bring them into the film, you can't.
You gotta do a little bit better than that, man. You gotta.
I don't know. I applaud that film because of the accomplishments of what it
For
did.
sure.
Yeah,
the story it told.
Yeah.
I felt like they missed out on a lot of opportunities, especially as far as from a writing standpoint. I feel like, because this is how it is in most Westerns anyway. If you're trying to set up a moment that's going to happen like what they had at the end, normally you want a good payoff of that moment. So if you were saying that they're supposed to be brothers, when they revealed it, it didn't pay off the same for me, because I was like, okay, so we spent almost 2 hours in the movie and no kind of like hints or anything or nothing where you could bridge it or anything like that. But now we're just supposed to be okay with, oh yeah, that's my brother and I'm about to kill him now because he's really the one who killed my father and whatever. But I think they could have just really nipped that in the bud and told us at the beginning.
Yeah.
Therefore, it would have been a more emotional roller coaster for us at the end. But maybe I'm wrong. But
you're right.
I think, yeah, I think I'm getting what Chad was talking about, and like how they adapted the story from Naruto or other sources. And I guess my answer to that is that every story's been told.
Oh yeah.
Plain and simple. Every story has been told in some capacity.
Yeah.
And people get so caught up in trying to write a story that they have never heard of. And then when they do write that, they think, oh, no, this is like totally original, but they have already subliminally heard it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It already exists somewhere else. But that shouldn't discourage you. That shouldn't discourage you. That shouldn't, make you feel like you're lesser or you're not worthy of carrying on that mantle. Fuck that. Your story. Do your thing. Right. And that's what the people did for Harder They Fall. Now, I personally have not seen it yet. I have to watch it for myself, and I'm not too familiar with Naruto.
Why you didn't say nothing, Chris?
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Forget about it. Dude, it's a Western. Everybody fucking dies. I'm not expecting Unforgiven.
Keep in mind, I'm not like saying that they literally, I don't have that information to say that whoever directed or wrote it literally took that concept from an
But to
anime,
you, it's eerily similar.
It's eerily similar. It's very.
It's as if they looked at the source material and was like, oh, okay, I just gotta slap it over here real quick and change some things around. And the whole family thing, I thought that up right when he was gonna confront them, I was like, he's probably gonna say he's a family member or something like that. And I didn't expect to be right at all, because I was just really drawing it out, and I was like, he's probably gonna be related to him or something like that. And then when they said it, I was like, I threw it out in the dark, and I shouldn't have got that. There was nothing to tell me that should have happened. It was just they're drawing this scene out. There's going to be a big reveal. He's probably family or something like that. And then it happened. And I was like, there was nothing that said that. Besides the fact of a flashback that happened in the beginning where the dad comes in and sits down with his family. I'm like, oh, okay. I see they tried to work it out. They just didn't execute it 100%.
Yeah. And I feel like fidelity to certain ideas and certain ways of doing things, and just fidelity to certain ideas that people really appreciate and love. I feel like that's also because someone could have a deep appreciation for some prior work of art and they want to adapt the storyline in a way that because they feel so strongly for this one piece of literature or this one film or this one TV show that they want to have like their own impact on it, and that's fine.
And
That's fine.
And
I
it
mean,
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a beautiful example of it. There's a Japanese version of Unforgiven, and it's with Ken Watanabe, and it's probably one of the best films I've seen in a very long time. It came out in 2013. It is so good. I highly recommend everyone go watch it because it takes the idea of the Western, which is so intrinsically tied to samurai films, so
Oh, yeah.
intrinsically tied.
Most definitely.
They're like this, and
most definitely.
and I feel like the only way creativity, if we're gonna be revamping things and doing reboots, we don't do it for the sake of security. We do it for the sake of not fidelity to the source material, fidelity to the art, fidelity to the work that goes into it. Because I take it everyone here has seen Ran by Akira Kurosawa. It's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful films you'll ever watch. It is Japanese. And look, I know Shakespeare's been done to death, but that's 2 for 2. Japan have now made, and Ran was done like back in the 80s, back in the 80s, 70s or 80s. And it won Oscars, it won acclaim. It's one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. And I watched it recently and I thought to myself, okay, so we're going to take King Lear. We're going to take, what's another continent that we could put this on? Oh, okay, Africa. It looked beautiful. If you take these, you don't have to keep doing these stories in the same places. You can take them to different places. Like like an adaptation of King Lear set in fucking ancient Africa. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's true.
That's $1 million idea right fucking there.
No, that's true.
Yeah, it'd be a fictional kingdom, but it could be inspired by a real kingdom.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And you could go all out on the cinematography, the costumes, the locations. Like, it is something that would just sweep every single category. And I know I'll always talk about, oh, it's going to win this, it's going to win that. But the point is not to win awards. The point is to be nominated. If you win, that is entirely up to your peers.
Yeah,
right.
It is entirely up to your peers if you win. To be nominated knows that you've done something right. They didn't give Dune 10 nominations because it's Denis Villeneuve and everyone loves him. No, they gave Dune 10 nominations. They gave Power of the Dog it's 11 nominations because it's a fucking good work of art, because it took effort to make that. They didn't give. Go ahead.
No, Chris, I was just gonna say, and that's what people forget, that film is a work of art. It's not just, oh, can I make this look good, and can this do that, and how many big name actors can I get in one movie? No, it's not about that. It's like you said, it's an art, and it's telling a story and visually showing how beautiful you can make things look. Like, it's crazy that you said that about how you take two things and you put them together and you can make it fictional, but it still can be great, because I do that a lot with stuff I do. Like, I took a story like from like different animes I used to watch, from the concept idea of Star Wars, of like mythology and stuff like that. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the Native Americans and African Americans, and I'm gonna make it one group of people, and everybody else are gonna be the colonizers, and they're gonna have their own little area. You see what I'm saying? You can do shit like that, and then it's like you said, it's everything's been told, but it's still ways to make new ideas and to find a path where you can go. Oh, let me try this and see how this goes, or let me do this and see. Or let me retell this, and it's just like with Lion King. That's a perfect example of retelling a story,
which is essentially King Lear, which is essentially.
So, let me think. What I was going to ask. How was I going to ask it? Do you think that the fact that people want to get a nomination for whatever award it is a reason for why American films, for the most part, aren't that creative. Like when you think of summer movies, you always have those, you know what I'm saying? Like you always have action movies.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, let me ask the kind of harder to that, another question. And do you think that's why films from other movies seem like so much better to us, being that they're out thinking outside the box of being very creative and not like trying to, maybe they are trying to win awards, but I guess, yeah, they're not trying to win awards. They're just trying to be very creative. They're just trying to push the box, you know what I'm saying? Like they're just trying to push that box as far as you can push it. And that's why you get all these good movies out there, the one you were, or TV show or movie based on the one you were talking about. It's because they're trying to just be as creative and push as far as they can. They're not worried about an award or whatever like that. They're just like, I want to make something good. It's gonna be good, and it's creative, and it's something that recycles other things, but it's its own new thing because it's a combination of everything, but it's something new.
Oh yeah, and yeah, that's essentially what I'm talking about. And I never want to come off as someone that like only wants awards, but because I'm robbed of having any. No, I have the greatest award of all. I have my health, I have my family, I have my girlfriend, I have good people like you, I have friends, I have a house to live in. I have, which is a lot more than I can say for people suffering over in Ukraine right now. There's a lot more that I can say for that.
That's a lot more.
And that's an injustice in and of itself. We won't even get into that because whenever I look at, so to mention, if we're going to be on the subject of Russia, for a very long time, I've been interested in making a film on Tchaikovsky.
Okay.
Like the Tchaikovsky, like the man behind the Nutcracker, the man behind like just Sleeping Beauty, Swan Lake, like all of this dude has written almost all of the classical pieces that we've grown up with.
Yes.
And I recently read a book about him. I learned, and this may be a shock to many people, I learned that he preferred the company of men.
Okay.
And which is fine. Okay. But he lived very kind of tragic life. He had several marriages that just didn't work out. He had one relationship with a woman that he never met. He never met her. He just wrote back and forth to her. And he preferred the company of men, but not. I think it was the same situation as J. Edgar Hoover, minus the cross-dressing. I think he preferred the company of men in the companionship sense rather than the sexual sense. That's at least my interpretation of his feelings towards them, because in nowhere does he say that it's his desire, or I don't think that, because he still had sex with women. And his Seventh Symphony is what many people attribute to a suicide note.
Okay.
Now, his death has always been heavily debated. Some people say that he deliberately drank unboiled water and contracted cholera and died. Other people say that he shot himself or slit his wrists or something like that. So when I thought about doing a film on him, I had to do all this research, and then I come to this area of the article that talks about his position in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never been more sick to my stomach at the treatment of someone that has done so much for your country. They have vehemently denied that he was ever engaged in relationships with men. They revoked all titles that were bestowed upon him. He was a royal composer. He was a knight, essentially, like a lord, and they took all of that away. And when the communists took over, and they deemed him because to them, they were like the Romans in the Roman Republic. To them, artists, dancers were the lowest of the low. They were beneath
anything in the
performing arts that didn't require them to dope themselves up a whole lot, was just because they can't compete honestly in anything. And immediately I thought to myself, oh, I should make a movie where he's gay as shit. But I was like, no, I shouldn't. I should instead blatantly put the cruelty of his time on full display.
That's an interesting concept, man, because I watch a lot of movies about I use two examples. I remember back when there was a lot of debate about the Freddie Mercury movie, back when Sacha Baron Cohen was actually thought to be the guy to actually play Freddie before they went to. But they were saying there was a lot of discrepancy with the band because the movie Sacha wanted to make didn't show Freddie in the best light. And it didn't really, and I think we can honestly all say that, sure, I really like how Rami did the movie about Queen, but a lot of it was a lot of the good stuff. There was some, of course, because a movie has to have dips and then something that happens and then it's all good, but for the most part, it wasn't a completely realistic, and like you were saying, Chris, there will never be a completely realistic depiction of anybody, but they left a lot of the grimy stuff. And then I watched another movie recently about the guy that made the musical Rent, and I loved it. It was beautiful, but once again, it was Tick Boom, exactly.
Okay.
But once again, you know what I'm saying, even with him, it was a musical. It was, and I think Andrew Garfield did a fantastic job, by the way.
He did a great job. My opinion with that movie is that he did a great job. The film was great, but I was strongly against it being made at all. It was my personal opinion that whatever his name is, and I don't say that to be rude, but I don't think that he necessarily deserved a film to be made about him.
John Larson,
I don't think what did he do?
He changed the game for musical theater for a lot of people. He literally took La Boheme and turned it into Rent, which is arguably one of the greatest modern musicals of all time. But I'm a theater geek. Bear with me.
Yeah, I never want to disrespect the craft because it's where we come from as film. It's where we start.
Oh yeah.
And I totally understand the love of the theater kids for it. But to me, when I saw Rent, to me, it was just a bunch of poor people complaining about how they didn't want to pay for things. And it was super loud. And I felt I was going to lose my hearing when I was watching it. And that's just me. But
you're breaking my heart, Chris.
I know. I'm so sorry. But to your point with the whole Sacha Baron Cohen thing, talking about, it's not what the band wanted. And that's good that they had that say. But with someone like Tchaikovsky, where there's no one left alive to be the arbitrator, and you're only going to a country, first of all, I don't need their permission to do anything. I don't need their patronage or their, yes, you can do this, to omit certain things. Like, and quite frankly, I've been itching to paint them in not so flattering.
Not a good light.
I've been itching to do that for a long time, and these past few days have given me every opportunity to. And it's just another. And the film itself, and to everyone listening, this concept is on beat sheets and beat boards. It is copyrighted under me, so just to throw that out there.
And if you need us to put it under the video, we will too.
Yeah, all concepts discussed are copywritten. But
yes,
I almost want to have the entire film occur within this home that he stayed in for 2 months. And the placeholder name for it right now is The Wicked North. That would be the film. And I want to show his inner struggle, have him essentially be the whole film. And when you guys are familiar with the dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, I was listening to that one time, and I thought to myself, I was like, what if he's sitting there at this piano? You hear him develop the song
starting to get the melody.
I was thinking the melody, but then he looks to his right, and an actual woman dressed as the Sugar Plum Fairy comes dancing in, doing the exact dance of the play. And he looks at it and he's like, she's still there. And he's watching her go around his house. And obviously we, the audience, know this is all in his head.
Right.
Yeah.
But he starts to almost hallucinate. It's meant to be this whimsical, beautiful film that just personifies his creative mind, but also just the pain that he felt. It's this fantastical whimsy, and whatever I end up making, I would want it to capture the ethos of what his music was trying to convey. And it wouldn't feel real, but that's entirely okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
It's his spirit. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was saying like basically with that and like other types of more so like biopics, instead of portraying someone's idea as like a miracle or some sort of, true enough, it is something that particular person made is like extravagant or extraordinary, but more so presenting it as something more, it was more of a delusion rather than something that was such a groundbreaking thing at the time.
And people didn't like it. People didn't like the Nutcracker when it first came out because it already existed as a children's story in a book. He was just asked to compose for it. So he didn't. So a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think he just created, but no, it was already a book. And I want to almost have these massive sequences of just him running around this old mansion, just creating these beautiful pieces of art. Like I wanted to go into a room with toy soldiers, and then you hear the march from the Nutcracker race these two swans in a lake near the estate, and the camera just pans right, and then those two swans become a man and a woman dancing together, dancing to the actual music. And the more he sits there and the more he writes, and of course we would change locations and we would keep going, the more he understands that there is a huge possibility that one day people may enjoy his music. And I think it's that hope that keeps him alive throughout the entire film. And like when I was writing it all, I was getting emotional because I was thinking to myself, I think a lot of artists, and I think a lot of creators, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, what religion, creed, or race you fall under, or even identity, or gender identity, or whatever, I think anyone who's ever wanted to create anything will be able to relate to this, see themselves in him, see themselves in his struggle of knowing, will I ever be good enough? Will this be good enough for people? Will people like this? Will people want to listen to this? And then like, when they did the Sugar Plum Fairy for the first time, people threw things at the stage. He got hit in the back of the head with someone's lunch. And like the lady up at the front, she just kept dancing, and she just maintained eye contact with Tchaikovsky until someone threw a shoe at her and knocked her off balance. And of course, they're all laughing. And a bunch of people were leaving, but then Waltz of the Flowers started. And then everyone was, whoa, this is actually really good. And then at the very end of it, after the end of Apotheosis, which is the final piece in the Nutcracker, everyone stands up and claps by Tchaikovsky. He storms out onto the stage and fires a gun off. And he says, quiet. Don't you dare clap when you heathens were throwing things at us only an hour before. We don't need your applause. And it was this very that got him kicked out, but he never performed there ever again. He did have enough money at the time to even replace the hole that he left in the ceiling, but it definitely spoke to his character of how much he cared about his work. And I think a lot of people who do write, and I feel like that's going to be an easy way to pitch the film, because anyone who's because you're pitching it to someone who's created something before. And how can they say no to that? How could they say no to the opportunity of directing or producing or helping write or fitting or set dressing or making costumes? They've all created something. They've all wanted to create something before. You're literally making a film about the guy who created half the music you've ever listened to.
This is true.
And I would never want to say, oh, he's the greatest human that ever lived. No, but I do think he's one of the most tormented. I do think he's one of the most abused in a sense by his own country.
Yeah.
And we do this too, but this isn't about us. But like, at least we've tried to do better. Yeah. But for him to be so abused by his own country, he's done so much for. He gave them so much fucking recognition. It's like the only Russian name I've ever been able to fully pronounce without gagging. But that's a low blow, but I'll keep it in there. They deserve it right now. Like people years from now, people will go, man, he's really nationalistic. Like he's super derogatory towards Russia. And then they'll see the timestamp as 2/24. They're gonna go, Russia was still a country back then? Oh my God. Now it's just Yellowstone Part 2.
Now it's Arctic Yellowstone Park. It's like,
yeah. It's Yellowstone too.
Yes.
How to carve that place up. But anyway, give it back to nature. But anyway, for your own country to condemn you and say that you're not a part of its history just because of who you slept with, or who you decided to love in your life, that's a crime.
Yeah,
and and through this film, I aim to see that corrected. And hear me now, believe me later, hand on heart. If it goes all the way, if I'm up on that stage accepting some award for it, I'm going to look dead at that camera and I'm going to say, we have recognized it. Now it is your turn. And just leave it at that. Because you know who you are.
You know who I'm talking about. Those are good points though. Or were you about to say, Josh?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I just definitely love an idea like that. Just someone writing about the psychological process of someone creating this thing that people just thought that was just so miraculous. And true enough, it is. Like you were saying, Chris, it's like anybody that's ever created anything ever has pretty much fantasized about it all day. And to the point where you just kind of see some of those things in your day-to-day life and apply them to life, but maybe not in a way that's always healthy. And nobody wants to really talk about it.
No. And he was a man trapped by his own genius, and that a lot in artists, that a lot in performers, that a lot in the genius doesn't have to just be an art. It can be a politician. It can be, you can see men trapped by their own morals. You can see men trapped by their own ideologies, whether it's for good or for bad. I hate to keep going back to Russia, but I think a certain world leader is a lot like that right now, where he's trapped by his own ideology that he wants to return to the nostalgia of the old, to this old world, and that can filter into a million other things. But I'm someone that firmly believes that you need to pick up and move on, and you need to understand that someone will notice you, whether it be for good or for bad, but past this point, it's out of your control. And I think Tchaikovsky had to understand that he would never have control over his own remembrance, but thank fucking God that he wasn't an absolutely shitty person, or I wouldn't be one to make a film about. Yeah, thank God he wasn't this like serial killer. Like fucking Rasputin got put in a goddamn movie in The King's Man. Are we gonna talk about that? I want to talk about that now. Fucking Rasputin got put in a movie. Have you guys seen it?
I haven't seen the new one. I only saw like the first one. So, yeah.
Dang, that's it. You only saw the first one?
Yeah, I didn't even.
Well,
I didn't get.
It's bloated, but
yeah, I saw the plot of the second one. I was like, I'm not interested in that. And then I saw the third one. I was like, and I wanted to see it, but I just never got around to seeing it in the theater. So like,
yeah.
He's like, don't do it, man. He's like,
and Chris,
cut it.
Chris, have you actually sat and watched, just one quick point, have you watched Tick, Tick, Boom? Have you actually seen it?
Yes,
you sat and watched the movie? Dude, how could, literally what you're talking about, it's the same guy. It's like reincarnated. Like my dude, John Larson is the same dude. So when you're telling me this, I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, bro, that's like the same kind of situation. Yeah. Like my guy was literally shunned by his community. And his whole story was about existentialism, trying to break out of the way old people used to make Sondheim and all of these old playwrights and all of this stuff. And then by the time he actually put there, the thing that would change the face of musical theater forever, he died the night before that because he had a damn near heart attack, because he was always
Yeah.
tripping about something. And then his doctors gave him the wrong diagnosis. But still, that is such a crazy what you're talking about. And I see artists deal with that all the time. Lin-Manuel Miranda dealt with that before he dropped Hamilton. When he performed it at the White House, they laughed at him. And now it's one of the greatest modern musicals we have. So I constantly see that story over and over and over again with creatives. I think that kind of comes with the package deal. Like when you are a creative, and I'm not saying, because we're all creatives, I'm not saying that it's something like we have such horrible pasts or we're trying to run away from.
No, it's the side effects of our craft. It's
escapism.
Yeah. And you look at things like The King's Man, and you see a film that, unlike Tick Tick Boom, but you see a film that has no direction. I don't think it knew where it was going.
Oh, it's not good.
It ain't good at all. Not even like a popcorn flick where you just
It's that it's a popcorn flick, but it's okay. So you want me to go ahead and spoil it for you?
Go ahead.
Please go ahead. I'm not gonna watch it.
So Rasputin is killed very early in the film, at least halfway through, and he was marketed to be the primary villain.
Oh my god.
The primary villain is this very angry Scottish man, which I don't know what they were trying to do with that. I know that Europe and Scotland have never had, England and Scotland have never had the best relationship, but I really don't know what they were trying to do. They have the same guy, and there's a lot of like little funny nods to history. Like they have the same guy play Kaiser Wilhelm, King George, and Tsar Nicholas, because they all somewhat looked alike, and because they were all cousins. And they have all these little funny history.
Right.
Like you're gonna you're clever. Like the action was good. I don't think Ray Fiennes should be doing that. I don't see him as an action star. I really don't. I don't know why he was out there fighting with swords and shit.
Yeah, I didn't see it either, but I didn't think it was gonna be bad.
And then the black guy that's in it, I don't want to call him Digimon. I really don't, because I just don't know how to say it.
Oh, you talking about Jaimon Hansu. Yeah.
Jaimon Hansu. Okay, I almost said Digimon.
He said Digimon. He said, Digimon.
I'm mad that I've never even seen him in the trailer, but I knew exactly who you were talking about.
He's that man's servant. He is his servant who like wields a knife and fights and shit. But listen, at least he's not just gonna get your food for you, but at least he fights.
Jeez,
at least he fights. He's clearly the character that they put in there. That's okay. We need a black guy.
Yeah,
Jimon. Come on down.
Either him or Sam. Oh wait, Sam was in the first one. Never mind. Oops.
The rest of it, it's just, and there's all these little like hints to the other movies, and it's just. And look, I like The Kingsman. I think it's a great concept. I think the first one was really good.
It's a dope concept.
Yeah,
it's a dope concept. It's just they put so many people in there. I'm like, stop. The moment I saw Jeff Bridges, I was like, stop it. I know. I know what you're doing. And then Elton John's in there for some reason. I didn't understand that. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they said that the original villain for The King's Man was meant to be in India.
Oh,
wow!
It was meant to be like a man from India, who started the First World War. But then they changed to Scottish because they didn't want it to be too contentious. And I'm like, so your basis for a villain is just to go down the long list of once colonies, now independent states that are against the United Kingdom for some reason. I think they've buried the hatchet with those two countries for a very long time. I think they're on pretty good terms now, I would say, but you're just gonna, and plus the way, I'm not gonna do the voice, but like imagining an Indian supervillain, it's just, I can't see it, man. I can't see it. They knew what they were gonna get if they did that too, and it's just don't do it.
And the one that's a hard one to touch, man.
I'm sorry to bring it up. I'm sorry to bring it up in the podcast.
You're good. Yeah.
But you see where my
I see
concern
where you're
lies.
leaning to.
Because when I hear
see.
that, I'm like, someone thought of that. Thank God someone said, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But you bet your ass they didn't stop at the, I won't do the voice. That's not right. You bet your ass they went all the way in.
Oh no.
Yeah, if you kind of know the way, because they're kind of tongue in cheek anyway with the Kingsmen. So yeah, they were going to do it.
There were all these like little jabs at like politics and American presidents for some reason. Woodrow Wilson being a racist, and I'm just like, look, he was a bad person. He was a fucking idiot. But like, good God, no one's gonna understand these jokes.
Yeah, most of the audience that you're talking to people that don't really know anything about.
And there's so much blue screen. There's so much blue screen.
They don't even read.
Like there's so much blue screen.
Like, so none of it's on. There's no location shots.
Like there's locations, but like a lot. There's this shot where like Ray Fiennes has the villain hanging over this cliff, and you can just tell. Like you could just literally see his outline on the blue screen. And like I work on a Marvel show. I work on a Marvel show. Like Marvel shows are 90% blue screen.
Oh crap! So you already knew. You were like, man, that's work.
And they do better.
Unless you're like WandaVision, where you film in a house.
What?
Like I hate looking at them because, and I know I'm gonna have to use them, but can I at least have some? Can you give me something like?
No,
like I was telling Marcus this on Tuesday when I saw him at Top Golf. I was like, look, I want to do a cavalry charge in one of my films. I want the actual historical amount of cavalrymen. I want 3,500. Marcus tells me it cannot be done. That no studio on earth is going to give me that many. And I tell him, okay, I'll go down to 500. However, within the next 2 hours, I went back to 2,000. But I see the concern people would have with this, and I raise you this.
Okay.
There are agreements in place with other countries to utilize their armed forces for such endeavors.
Okay.
Now, these cavalrymen are not going to be like the idiot background that we get for, sorry, background, but you are pretty stupid sometimes. Like dealing with you is like trying to keep 100 puppies in one field. That's essentially what it is. And you have a broken ankle. So that's what it is. And that's what I can equate it to. And just that these people are military. They have no problem putting on uniforms. They have no problem waking up early. They have no problem doing any number of things I tell them to do because that's what they're supposed to do in the military. They're supposed to take orders. They're supposed to have their own agency and fidelity. Not saying anything's wrong with that. But they're supposed to, that's their job. And train them for 2 months, armor them, and send them out there. It's going to be hell to shoot. Yeah. But I go back to my other point I made earlier at the beginning of this. The acclaim, the prestige.
If you're able to pull it off. Like
if you're able to pull it off.
Yes, there it is. If you're able to get it done.
And as an added caveat, as an added thing to it, and I think this goes over well with people if you do it, I have no intention of, if I'm the writer and producer on this, I have no intention of sitting on the sidelines. I have every intention of getting my own fitting, getting my own arms and armor, and this is the Napoleonic era. So I'm going to be wearing wool in the desert, just like these guys.
Oh gosh.
So yeah. So I have every intention, because it is bad form to ask someone to do something else that you wouldn't be willing to do. So that not only raises the morale of the troops, both metaphor, literally, but it also provides a presence that you can't really say, oh, they just did this. Look at what they did to these horrible people. It's no, the writer and the producer and several other people actually did this, because who can say they've done that in their lives?
Yeah,
that's true. And after that pitch, they're going to say, nah, let's just CGI 1,000 times.
Yeah, we're just gonna copy it, dude. Paste and paste and paste it, and then we're gonna do
Let's
long
go
shot away.
300. Let's go 300.
We're gonna long shot away from the whole thing, so you can't even tell. You won't even be able to tell that they're just copy and paste. You just gotta.
And I won't, man. I'm out of there, bro. But see, this is what you find old money to finance this. You find the people that keep bankrolling Ridley Scott's films.
Okay.
You find those people,
Okay.
and you tell them the idea. People who like grew up watching shit, and I don't know why I'm whispering, but watching shit like watching Waterloo and War and Peace and Fall of the Roman Empire and Lord of the Rings and Gladiator, and you just like, in the film itself, I can pretty much compare it to it's Black Gladiator.
Fair.
So it's like Gladiator meets Antoine Fisher, and the man leading this cavalry charge is a black man. In the Napoleonic era, 3,500 men. Like same energy as the trench run in 1917 at the end of the
that
film.
was wild. Yeah.
Same energy, same exact energy. Just panning, all of them riding across the desert.
Yeah, you just gotta, like you said, find that financial backing. Somebody that's willing to do it.
Oh,
yeah, and then nothing else that year would win best cinematography but that. I guarantee it.
It's pretty much in-game final scene where they're crossing, where they get out of the portal and they're just charging at Thanos. But real, yes, but real. There you go. Yeah. And if you're able to pull it off, man, you're gonna be like, nobody can touch you. You got it.
Yeah, if you pull that off, for sure.
I'm only ever gonna do it once. Like, I won't do a scene like that ever again. I will make it so fucking good that I will never do it again.
You need all these people that are going to be like
1,000 men, Chris. You got to.
Yes.
No, I want 2,000. Yeah, I want 2,000 men. Look, the average.
He goes up. He goes up every time.
I need to look this up. I need to look this up. Hold on.
That's funny. And then you get like a lot of people that are just gonna try to copy it and try to like make it work, and it's not gonna work out. You're like, nah, you can't touch me, bro. It's done. It's over.
Let me look this up super quick. Just how many people are in a cavalry division for?
Totally right, Chris. I know why you're doing this, and it will look beautiful if it's done.
It'll be gorgeous.
Okay, how many men?
And I'm here for it.
How many men do they have?
I'm be like, dang, he pulled it off.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit there and I know him. He pulled it off. That's great. That dude pulled it off.
Okay, so they still, how many men to, current units. Okay, first Dragoons, how many men? Does it tell me? Current status. Fuck.
I'm out of cavalry.
Oh, it's not telling you?
Talking about like we're talking about a cavalry.
Okay, so the average US cavalry division is 350 men.
Yeah, because you got contains 12 troops.
So we're good.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I just need 11 of those. I just need 11 of them. We're not even going to film it here, but just go to another country. Just go to another country. So let me read off
each regiment. There's 12 troops. Each contain 100 men. So you could do it. 12 troops. Each one of those.
Yeah, the guy that I'm making the movie out of, he had 2 squadrons, 390 men total of dragoons. 3 squadrons, 640 men total, 230 men, 330 men, 530 men, 630 men, 280 men, all for around grand total of 3,050 men. So not even 3,500, 3,050. That's even lower than my previous estimate.
Yeah. It can be done.
That's a lot of dudes, man.
But yeah, they're the military. You know how they get paid the regular military rate. Hold on. Yeah, so they get paid the regular military rate, and they essentially can use that time that they're filming as their PT. So they don't have to go do PT with the regular base. They can just use that as their PT. So that's even more.
That's all you got to tell them. That's all you got to tell them, because I know plenty of people in the service that don't like PT. They'll love that. You got it. Done.
Hey, you don't want to go to PT? Here is your excuse.
Exemption.
It is.
Come play Risk with me.
Come
over in the
lark
desert.
come lark for a little bit.
And I know people are going to say, oh, why don't we get the reenactors? I'm like, oh, you mean those 40-year-old men that have nothing better to do on a fucking week? Like, nothing against reenactors. Like, you guys are great. I really don't know any of you, so I can't, like, pass judgment. But, like, I'm not going to get people that do not look the age and look vastly different.
No, so basically you're pretty much at the point of in the search for what your vision is. If possible, you're just spare no expense, pretty much.
I even got the fucking, hold on. I even got the,
Great.
I'm going to wear this when I'm on set. I'm going to wear this when I'm on set. I even got the hat. See?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Pull it off.
Sick.
There we go. Yes.
My girlfriend made me this.
Sick.
My girlfriend made me this.
Hey.
She got me this last year for year before last for Christmas, and I loved it so much because I was like, oh, I was reading a book on Napoleon. I was really into him at the time, and I was like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to have that. He goes, okay, and then see this on Christmas Day. Like, she made the whole thing. Like, she did the cockade,
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's
and
dope.
like made this by
Yes.
hand. Like, she's so fucking talented. And
Man.
like, I just can't.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to go on set one day and just.
You're gonna be like, he has lost his shit. Like,
Nah,
what's he-
all he's gonna do is all he's gonna be doing on set. They're gonna ask him like a budget, like spare no expense. That's all he's gonna say. But you don't have the money. I'm like, spare no expense.
Oh, and I'm gonna get the French government involved too, because the guy's French. I'm gonna get them to commission a statue to be made in his honor, because he did have a statue, but it was smelted down by the Nazis in World War II. I'm gonna get him to make a new statue. I'm gonna unveil the statue on the red carpet premiere, which will be in his hometown of, not hometown, but it will be in the town that he lived in.
Okay.
And additionally to that, I've already even got like a cast list for it. Yeah, that's essentially what I have so far. And I pitched it to the actor I'm working with, and he loved it. He loved everything we pitched him. And I can't wait to see where it goes.
Hey man, like I said, I've been a kind of fly on the wall, man, and like everything that you've definitely shared and stuff, which is, like I said, it doesn't leave this area, but yeah, I think it's all fantastic, man. So I'm just, like we said when we got started here tonight, man, I'm just excited to see everything you do, and I think that is really cool that you're completely honest.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm ready for that.
No, just like with your
that's all.
I was about to say with the
I'm here.
right?
I'm like really here. I'm just like
I don't give a fuck.
Man, I'm just
I think
I'm hyped. You gotta love Chris.
I'm hyped.
Oh no, I feel it. I
feel it, man. Yeah.
And look, like I can't wait for people to just misquote me on this thing and be like, he said the villain in Kingsman should have been Indian. It's like, I didn't, but okay.
You didn't watch the entire video. You just like looked for that one thing. Yeah. To pull that, you were just like, you know what? I need something. Oh, he said that. But we'll just cut it and make it work. Oh, don't worry.
Yeah, the Daily Show was gonna have a field day, man. Like that's basically.
Or if not Daily Show, Screen Rant. Or
they're gonna tear you a new one.
Right.
Tear you a new one, boy. Man.
Someone's saying to me, because with being in the industry, I feel like these are the three cardinal sins. To come up to me and say that you read something on either Kotaku, Screen Rant, or Facebook, to say, oh yeah, I read on any of these websites, is the lowest form of conversation that you could ever have. It is the lowest form. If you get your information from Screen Rant, you need to go back to the primordial soup you crawled out of, because you have no basis. Like, I saw some article in Kotaku. Here I am in passing. It was on my Google, and I looked at it and I was like, why is this on my feed? And then the title of it says, why Eren Yeager is the greatest anime character of all time. I just not interested. Don't show me. He's not
of all time. No. And I'm a person that loves Attack on Titan.
In my opinion, there is no greatest. The most well-written anime character of all time is Shinji Ikari from Evangelion. You can't
Okay.
fucking tell me
You can't touch it. Yeah.
anything. Like how despicable that fucking little fucker is.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows the series will know what I mean when I put my
Yeah.
hand up like this. Or yeah, this is how he did it.
I still gotta watch Evangelion.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing
Yeah.
about it. I know everything about
Buckle
that
up.
show. I know everything about that show, but I've never seen it because everybody has told
What?
me exactly what it is. Yeah, they told me.
Really?
It's literally
Y'all's
told me,
homework
like-
is to watch it on Netflix.
oh,
And then watch the rebuild movies on Amazon Prime.
but no, he's a piece. He's a
Yeah,
piece.
definitely.
He is something. He's something else. I'll say he's something else. Like, so Eren Yeager definitely is not the greatest anime character of all time. He's just the most relevant right now. All right, let's right. But
Eren Yeager's
Yeah.
just an excuse for people to be edgy and say, you know what, he might be right. Because yeah, those are the same philosophers who felt that Thanos was like some kind of ethnic cleansing.
Here's the crazy part about it. In the internal movie, they said they confirmed he was right. So yeah, they made the whole thing. Yeah, they made the whole thing. They were just they
They really did.
Here's the crazy part about it. It was like, how was it? One of the characters said it, and then it was like on a wall, and I was like, oh my god.
You can't do that.
I think it was Hawkeye when he was busy peeing in the stall and being absolutely useless. Here, the man can't hear. What am I to do with a deaf archer?
Hey,
Ow.
hey, come on, man. Come on. Come on.
Go to bed, Chris.
What's he gonna be? Blind next?
Go to bed,
The
Chris.
same thing you're gonna do with the person that uses their hands in their blood. You just gotta wing it, you know what I mean?
That's such a horrible line. What am I gonna do with the blind with the deaf archer? Like what need do I have for him?
I can see it now, man. Kataki's gonna be like, man, guess what he said about Hawkeye in that community. He's gonna
Yeah, when Jeremy Rainer's like 80 years old and doesn't give a rat's ass about any of this at all.
Because he already doesn't care.
He already
was on that show.
Yeah.
I was on Hawkeye for 3 days. I day played for 3 days.
Oh.
And he's cool, but he always looks like he's about to punch somebody.
He does.
He does.
Like,
yeah.
I can see that. I can see it.
I was standing next to him and he like looked at me super quick, and I'm just sitting there on my phone texting the lunch menu to someone, and I'm literally right there, and he just does this, like he's on his phone, and he just, I'm just like, and then he's just, excuse me, I'm like, yes. He goes, oh, I'm sorry, did startle you? And I'm like, oh no, I'm fine. I was just really focused. Do you need anything? And he goes, yeah, I don't know where my assistant went. Could you grab me like a water and maybe a snack? I said, what kind of snack do you want? He goes, do they have Kind bars? And I said, I'll grab you like one of each and you can pick them and then I'll take back the rest or I'll eat the rest. And he's like, yeah, good plan. And I walked over, I grabbed him the water. I like ran back and I'm like, do you want room temp? Or I was whispering because they were doing a shot. So it makes they were doing a take. So never mind. I'm like, and he's, I'll take the room temp. You want the refrigerator? I said, yeah, I like them cold. And he goes, thank you very much. And I'm like, no, thank you. He's like, for what? And then I like realized he got a laugh. And I said, that was really funny. I was like drinking my water.
Out of my chair.
I'm like, I want to go home. I want to go home.
Somebody get me out of here. Oh my gosh.
I said I could be walking to my car and like an arrow's just gonna pierce the back of my throat.
You said he would miss because he can't hear, so it ain't no telling.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with him shooting. If he was blind,
that's no relevance.
Legolas is still the OP archer. Anyone who ever says Katniss Everdeen is a good archer obviously needs to grow up. She's not a good archer.
I mean,
she's not.
He's called out there.
I mean,
Legolas stunted on people.
You can't drag cat just through the mud like
Nah, it's just the way that like
Archery
Legolas
is literally written into Legolas's blood. You cannot fucking like.
and
The
also,
elves are literal.
and also his vision is so good that he can hit whatever he wants. Like I remember
He literally sees in the night, in the dark.
yes, like he hits whatever he wants. If he said he's hitting it, you might as well say, okay, that person's dead.
He
Like,
took down a
died.
whole elephant just to stunt on a dwarf.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that part. Yes, yes, yeah.
Killed some people her own age, perhaps younger.
No, definitely.
And went through some crises trying to get to do those things. Legolas was like, "Oh, you want me to kill that person? All right, there."
Become a terrorist, essentially destabilize an entire government.
Yeah, her path is.
I don't know, man.
It got kind of hairy for a minute there.
Snow was right. Snow was right. He died being right.
Yeah. That last movie got kind of wonky though. They had things in it. I was like, all right, cool. Like we just killing off people in random ways that I would never think of. My dude made it all through all the entire movie with a big old staff, and then he just, get away, Katniss. I'm like, bro, you could hit one of them, or you could climb to the ladder. He's just like, I'm going to die.
I remember when I saw like Mahershala Ali is in it, and I totally forgot that he was in it, and I see him in it. Yes. And I think he's killed by like that black goo thing or whatever. And I was sitting next to somebody. He says, "Of course." And the buddy's like, "Of course, the black goo kills the black person."
Damn.
Of course, water. Of course, something liquid based kills the black person.
Damn,
like,
that's so bad.
God. You're looking way too deeply into it, but like.
I can't do that. I can't do that right now.
It's so bad.
That movie, those movies are pretty wild though. After they leave the whole killing aspect of it, of them killing each other, it gets pretty wild really quickly. Yeah, They were like, yeah, we're just gonna, I don't know, kill them outside of the environment. You know, it's cool. Get political real quick, which is no problem, but not what people signed up for.
Yeah,
well,
I think
go
ahead.
No, I was going to
go
say,
ahead.
I was going to say, it seems like it was just a shitty movie in general.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the
lady like stole the idea from the
Battle Royale. Battle Royale. Yeah. I
and it's not just like us like saying that she did it. Like she actually went to court over it.
Yep.
So that's why I feel like she's illegitimate as a writer, because it's like, bro, you stole. You didn't even steal. You stole the whole thing.
It's not like you were like, I was inspired by Battle Royale, so I made something similar. No, you were just
that's what it was.
Copy and paste. Copy and paste. We need some characters to copy in.
It was like what Saban or Zaban or whatever his name is did with Power Rangers.
Oh yeah.
He just saw it over in Japan and said, "Oh,
I'll just slap a code up. I'll slap the American code on it real quick.
I'll make the black ring. I'll make the in like Spider-Man he had a show. He had a mech.
Yeah. And that's the reason why
the Megazords are a thing.
Yeah, that's the reason why Super Sentai became what it is, and we had a conversation about that. I remember.
Yeah, but literally because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Spider-Man is the reason why you got Spider-Man is the reason why you got freaking Power Rangers or Super Sentai. So like, thank you.
Yeah, good old Stanley.
Yeah,
he was like, it should be a robot.
He should have a robot for some reason.
I loved like how Spider-Man spoke in that show. He's like the defender of the weak, and I think he says like, "In the night when I cut the throats of the evil," and I'm like, Jesus.
Spider-Man, chill out.
He's edgy. No, he's edgy. I can't wait to see like how my man's gonna look in the Spider-Verse movie.
Is he in it?
They need to. If he's not,
it's heavily implied that they're going to add him to the Spider-Verse. So we'll see what.
And like he does like the different poses.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
that would be crazy.
It technically would be on brand because in the first Into Spider-Verse they had a mech like Spider-Girl anyway, so it's just like replace that with let's replace that with an actual like Megazord and give me exactly what I want. Spider-Man and Power Rangers combined, like I'm here for it.
I'm here for that. 100%.
Give it all to me.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever seen like this? Have y'all ever seen like the Power Ranger comics? They're cold as shit.
The new run is amazing.
They have no reason looking that cool. Like,
they really don't.
With who they are, they have no reason looking that cool.
But they are. Yeah.
Oh, they look cool as fuck.
Yeah, because you always like no matter how old you are, you remember seeing the Green Ranger on the screen for the first time and how he just handed the entire Power Rangers their thing in their Megazord, by the way.
Yeah, he like their door literally opened and he just kicked them out of their own.
He
like
said, "Get the
them out
fuck
their own
out."
stuff. They said, "Hell, hell, Rita," and just jumped out there. I was like, "Dang, all right."
I remember when they did I watched the new movie and I was just like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Tried to like it, man. I really did.
Oh man.
I wanted to like it. I just.
And then he pulled whenever you heard him pull out the dragon flute, you already knew some stuff was about to happen. He pulled out the little dragon flute. You were like, oh, dang, it's already about to be done. It's about to be over.
I remember in one Power Ranger movie, he pulls it out and one of the villains is like, don't let him play that.
We don't want
the other villains are like, why? And then he does it, and then they're like, oh, that's why.
You couldn't see why.
Man, it's crazy.
I loved the one where they were the police and they just beat the ever-loving shit out of anybody that so much as broke a law.
Yes.
Like, I loved that so much. And then they had the woman who had this weird, like, relationship with that dog thing. That was like their leader, like she's like touching him and everything. She's, I love you so much, and he's just, his prosthetic is just like,
man,
I love you too.
But I will say, I love that one because it was a black red, and he had locks. I was like, let's go. I was like, we winning up in here. He had locks. I was like, not only did they make him black, they gave him a brother, let him keep his locks, man.
And he was a leader. And he was a
leader, man.
But and when they gave him the SWAT gear, I was like, okay, all right, I'm cool. I'm down for it. Like I was like,
I'm telling you, man. Still one of the greatest Red Rangers to me though is my boy. I think was it TJ.
TJ from Turbo, and then
man.
That was my favorite series for the longest time as a kid because literally that was like it was just really, he was the leader and he was really good, but it was just really wacky and not to be taken seriously. And I was just like, this is perfect. And it's like they're all in cars and stuff, and I'm like, I like this. It's cool. Like Red Ranger was in like a what? He was in like a Pontiac, like a Firebird, like a Firebird or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got bigger, and it was his door, and I was like, okay, I'm cool with this. Like I'm cool getting away from the animal things. I'm cool with cars.
Nice. Yeah. I didn't know.
I mean, we got away from like Zia, where it was like machine things, and I was like, all right.
And then Rita's not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And Dad's not getting pissed off at the Power Rangers every 5 minutes or whatever, just like flexing his chrome faceplate or whatever.
I love how they said, hey, Bryan Cranston, I know that you did a show about making the blue magic, but now you're going to be a man that is actually blue. His name is Zordon. So it's just people that say, oh, Walter White just ascended. He's now the god of meth. He's just this blue face that's bald.
Oh, man.
They did
could have been good.
It could have been, but
a lot of could have been nowadays.
It's a lot of could have been.
Should have been. Would have been.
That movie, all you need to do is put them back in the original spandex, but they couldn't even do that. They were like, "Yo,
those suits were so whack."
Right?
Right? Yeah, they were pretty bad.
Because they try to make it like this skin tight. Oh, it's like nanobots, like nano machines.
Can we stop doing I hate nanotechnology animation. I hate it. Like I hated it in there. I hated it in the Avengers. That was the worst that was the worst Iron Man suit I've ever seen. Let's stop doing nanotech animation, please. Like I'm tired of it.
Nah, anytime they want to,
it's not working.
No, they do it because the props doesn't want to make anything.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah. Lazy fucks. I love you, props. I don't mean that in a bad sense.
But no, it's funny.
Oh my gosh.
They were like, yeah, Iron Man needs to see it's more technologically advanced. Let's put nanotech in it because that's always worked. You know, he needs a suit that comes out of it.
Grabs the fucking look.
He just grabs goes,
he just goes.
Let me put my hoodie on real quick.
That's all he does.
Yeah, and like the whole.
Right.
Yeah, and like the whole thing where he had his suit come out of his watch. I'm like, ew.
No, his
that was cool.
Like Here's the crazy thing. In the comics, it comes out of his actual bones. So I love the bleeding edge in the comics. I'm like, it's really cool. I think
Like the literal personification of I keep that fucking thing on me.
I got it always on me. Like,
Oh,
pretty much,
literally.
I got to smoke whatever y'all want it, dude.
Like I am always strapped.
yeah.
And I will kill
Stay
you.
strapped.
See,
Yes.
the one thing I liked about Iron Man is he's cocky, and he like in the movie he tells him where his address is. Yeah, I'm right here, bro. Come find me. I was like, hey, that's cool. But
Damn, they actually found my ass.
Right?
What you mean, bro? My man acts surprised. He acts surprised when they bought
No,
this
here's the
shit.
crazy
I'm
part about it is, like, he wasn't
wait.
even in this suit. I'd be walking around my house in my.
I'm not finna be sipping tea, chilling like they ain't finna come. What you mean, bro?
They came in and blew
I
his ass out
guess.
the face of the fucking off of the face of the side of that mountain.
Blew, right, blew
whatever,
his
just
ass
blew it.
off the mountain. Right. That was the most like what the fuck moment in like all of the Marvel movies.
I
I'm
swear,
like,
that whole thing was so stupid.
that had me crying, bro. I was
No, what
crying.
had me crying is like the fact of the matter that he destroyed all of his suits in that movie.
I was just gonna say that.
And then he brought them all back in the next movie. He had all the suits back in the next the Avengers movie or whatever. So it's like, oh, I guess we're not getting rid of all our suits and putting it away. You said that away real quick.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. It's a whole
Oh
it's a
my
whole
God.
struggle.
Iron Man is he's a character.
Mm. But with that being said, y'all, go
I
ahead.
have to get my piece and talk about Captain America.
Oh, go ahead.
His Nomad suit. Can we talk about the Nomad suit he had in Infinity War? How bad that suit was. Like his little.
It literally was just like the
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
he just made it black. He just colored it black.
Nah, he got it from
That's
Wakanda, bro. He got it from Wakanda. They were like, hey, we're just handing out black suits to everybody. Here you go.
Let's not even talk about suits, man. I cannot. I just that's another hour of podcast. Like I just can't.
Hashtag got it from Wakanda.
Hashtag got it from Wakanda.
I love how everybody can get black Wakanda shit except for the
Black guy.
They give him big red,
gosh.
white, and blue ass like costumes.
Like,
Okay. Anyway, and with that being said,
Captain America was just like, wow, these African people are really nice. They gave me these really cool shields.
That don't do anything. They're not blocking
don't do
anything.
nothing.
Yeah, and you think he didn't have
Don't
some
do nothing.
reservations given the time he came from? I'm pretty sure he didn't say something. He said something a little different to Nick Fury the first time he saw.
It was like how he
Just-
really reacted when I seen black people in a restaurant. Was he was like that one music guy with the big old eyes? Yeah, just looking around like we let them.
I feel like he was just like. I feel like he was just like everybody else is relaxing, so I guess I'm gonna just chill.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just let this one ride. I ain't gonna say.
He just go, yeah, our recent president, like, you elected a what?
No, the funny thing is like,
Oh,
and then
no.
he saw a police officer stab. He was like, all right, cool.
But yeah, man, it's
Oh my God, I'm
it's.
Nah, we got a
oh
whole
yeah,
entire
speaking of
conversation
that, have y'all even looked at anything going on with The Boys yet? Y'all
Are you talking
checking
about
out The Boys?
the Captain American and the boys, like the dude that's supposed to be
Yeah,
Captain America? Yeah,
I
he
can't.
looked
That's what I can't wait. His ass is gonna be crazy.
crazy. Based on what I've read, yeah, he's gonna be something else.
Yeah,
Guys, this was so much fun. I always love coming on here and talking to you guys. This is
Oh,
great.
man.
Yeah, totally.
It was
Yeah.
it's a blast, man. But yeah, man. So if does anybody have any closing statements before we go ahead and wrap this thing up?
Yes.
Oh, what's up, bro?
Magneto was right.
Okay.
You want to end it off on some
I mean, I agree with that.
But I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I think
I'm
that was
with it.
I think-
Mic drop.
I think we don't need to talk about it or defend that. No, we need to really get on that. I agree. There ain't no conversation.
drop.
There.
Agreed.
Nothing else to be said. Mic drop.
That's it.
Yeah. Professor X was not
Mhm.
like at all. He was,
No.
he was like, hey, let's coexist, and then Malcolm X. Oh my God, sorry. They was like, yo, nah, forget that noise, bro. Like, let's do what we gonna do. Let the chips lie, fall where they do. You about to change things around here. I don't like this.
Yeah.
No. Nah, man. So that's definitely it, man. But before we get up out of here, I just want to go ahead and give it up for Chris one more time, man, for being our first guest to do 2 rounds. 2 rounds with the square
Round
round table.
two.
Round
Soon to be
four.
three. Soon to be three. I want to do it
Oh,
again.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Anytime,
man.
dude.
Yeah,
Anytime
totally,
you want
yeah.
to
Let's keep it going.
here.
Hey,
Yeah.
man, I'm
Sure.
definitely down for it.
Definitely down.
Hell
for
yeah.
that.
So, yeah, Chris, before you go, man, just let all of our viewers and listeners know where they can find you on your social media, anything you could talk about that you have going on, and just all of that good stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, to everyone, I can be found on Instagram. I don't post a lot. If you want to just know a little bit more about me and who I am and all the things that I'm fortunate enough to be blessed with in my life, please go on there and take a look at it. I can't talk much about my projects, but I can say that as a creative, I am proud to be a part of the process. And if I can impart any advice, it is to trust the process that will work out the way it is supposed to work out. Do not force your hand, do not force your way in, and do not try and cut corners and compromise, because you will never get anywhere if you do that. Believe in yourself. Don't do as I say, don't do as I do, because you shouldn't have to model yourself after me or anyone else like that. If you've heard the ideas that I've spoken of, you don't model yourself after me. Do your own thing. Be independent. If you feel inspired, be inspired. But don't be an echo. But yeah, that's my passive aggressive
Great
advice.
words.
No, man, no,
that was real advice. That was like real and honest advice. So
nah, man, we definitely
Yeah.
appreciate it, and I know there are a lot of prospective artists and filmmakers out there that are definitely going to take those words to heart, man,
Yeah.
and definitely trust the process and trust their instincts. So that's good stuff, man. We definitely appreciate all of that good advice. So
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
just like every week, y'all, we're the Square Roundtable Podcast. And of course, you can catch this podcast with Chris and our other amazing podcasts with Chris and all of our other amazing podcasts on our website, squareroundtablepod.fandomlim.com. And one more time, that is squareroundtablepod.fandomlim.com.
and you can catch us on YouTube at anytime. And if you like the video, if you like our videos, obviously like the video. Comment on anything that we talked in here. And if you have some disagreement about Magneto being right, hit them comment section, because I'm ready for it. Me and Marcus will be ready.
Yep.
We'll come down there. We'll do the thing. Because you're wrong. All right. Let's just say you're wrong.
Get into it with the keyboard warriors.
Get into it.
And share
Right.
the video. I bet. Say your.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, but that I gotta head to bed. I got an early morning tomorrow. But guys, this was wonderful. As always.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
And then yeah, make sure you check out my articles on Kotaku and Screen Rant.
Wait, do you actually write articles for them?
No.
Don't take him serious, Chris. He's
okay.
past his bedtime. He
Chris
doesn't know how to act.
Chris almost attacked you, Joshua. We gotta chill.
You gotta chill with all that smoke you trying to get.
Yeah.
Hit the notification bell so you get notified of the video and any video that we put out in the future, and share it. And also follow us on all our socials, our Twitter, our Instagram, and that pesky goddamn Facebook group. Bring some life in there, because that's where all the stuff goes down, man.